Have you ever prayed, hoped, and believed so deeply only to feel like the answer is taking too long? Have you ever looked at your life and wondered, God, why is it taking so long? Haven't I been faithful enough? Haven't I waited long enough? I want to tell you today, God is never late. He is never behind schedule. He is never confused. He is never scrambling to catch up. Heaven does not operate on your clock. Heaven operates on purpose. The truth is, waiting is not wasted time. Waiting is a workshop. Waiting is a classroom. Waiting is where your character is strengthened. Your faith is tested and your destiny is aligned. When God says, wait, He is not punishing you. He is preparing you. He is refining your heart, renewing your mind, and equipping your spirit for the exact moment when the blessing will arrive. The delay you fear is often the very doorway God is using to deliver your breakthrough. You see, the problem is not God. The problem is the inner dialogue that fills the waiting season. That voice in your head can either become your greatest weapon or your fiercest enemy. It can whisper faith, hope, and encouragement, or it can scream fear, doubt, and despair. If you want to walk into your destiny, you have to learn how to preach to yourself. You have to learn how to declare to your own spirit, I am ready. I am faithful. My season is coming. God's timing is perfect. The inner dialogue you choose today will determine whether you collapse in the wait or rise stronger for what is coming. Waiting reveals what you really believe. It strips away the pretense, the excuses, and the facade. When life is easy, it is easy to say, I trust God. But when doors stay closed, when answers are delayed, when the world seems to move on without you, waiting exposes the truth in your heart. Do you truly believe God is faithful? Do you truly believe He is never late? Or do you believe that the ticking clock of your circumstances dictates your destiny? The wait is a test, and your response is the proof of your faith. Delay is not denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet does not mean it will never happen. Many of us have mistaken preparation for procrastination. God is not ignoring you. He is aligning everything around you. He is positioning the right people, arranging the right opportunities, and perfecting the timing so that when the miracle comes, it is unshakable, undeniable, and unstoppable. What feels like a setback is often a setup. What feels like a pause is often the moment God is shaping you to step into your purpose fully equipped, fully ready, and fully confident. Heaven's timing is precision, not procrastination. God does not release blessings too early, and He does not release them too late. Everything He does is measured, intentional, and perfect. He knows exactly when the blessing should arrive, when your faith is right, when your mind is prepared, and when your spirit is ready. If it hasn't happened yet, it is not because God is asleep. It is because the perfect moment has not yet arrived. Trust the precision, trust the preparation, trust the process. Your mind must arrive before your miracle does. Many of us pray for breakthroughs without realizing that God is first shaping our thoughts, our attitudes, and our perspective. Your mind must be aligned with God's truth before He releases the blessing. You must learn to see with spiritual eyes, to speak faith over your situation, and to declare victory in the silence. If your mind is ready, you will recognize the miracle when it comes. If your mind is not ready, you may see it and not know what to do with it. Preparation of the mind ensures that when the timing is right, you step into the miracle fully equipped, fully confident, and fully alive to the purpose it carries. Speak faith loud enough to drown out fear. Fear is relentless. It whispers lies, magnifies doubts, and tries to convince you that the wait is too long, that the blessing is too far, and that the miracle will never come. But your voice must be louder than the fear. You must declare with authority, God is faithful. God is on time. My miracle is coming. My breakthrough is on its way. Speak faith to yourself, to your soul, and to your circumstances. Let your words create an atmosphere of expectation that fear cannot penetrate. And when it finally comes, it will make sense why you had to wait. Every tear, every delay, every moment of silence, every unanswered question will suddenly align in clarity. You will see that God's timing was perfect. His preparation was intentional, and his plan was flawless. The blessing will arrive not a moment too soon, not a moment too late, but exactly when it was supposed to, and you will understand that the waiting was never wasted. It was necessary. So hold on, stand firm, speak to your soul, align your mind. Strengthen your faith. The clock may seem slow. The doors may seem closed. The answers may seem delayed, but heaven is moving. Heaven is orchestrating. Heaven is on time. Waiting is one of the most revealing experiences we can ever go through because it exposes the real condition of our hearts. On the surface, it might seem like nothing is happening, like time has stopped, like the world has moved on and you are stuck in a holding pattern. But the truth is, waiting is a mirror. It shows us what we truly believe, often more clearly than our words or our actions ever could. When we wait, we are confronted with our own thoughts, our own fears, and our own assumptions about how life should work. And it is in those quiet, sometimes painful moments that our inner dialogue either betrays us or aligns us with the truth of God's timing. Think about it. When something you desire is delayed, your first instinct might be to panic or to doubt. You might start questioning whether the promise will ever come, whether your efforts are enough, or even whether you are worthy of the breakthrough you've been praying for. But in reality, that internal chatter is not the truth. It's the reflection of your current belief system. If you genuinely believe that God is never late, that he is always perfectly on time, then your inner voice would whisper patience, faith, and hope even in the silence. But if your belief wavers, if it's built on what you can see or control, the waiting will reveal it. Waiting also tests the depth of our trust. It is easy to trust God when everything is moving smoothly, when doors are opening, when people are encouraging us and circumstances are favorable. But true belief is measured in the waiting. It is measured in the moments when the world says no, when your calendar is full of unanswered questions, and your heart starts asking, am I really going to get what I was promised? In those moments, the inner dialogue becomes a battlefield. Every thought, every fear, every doubt either strengthens your faith or undermines it. Waiting doesn't just show what you believe, it forces your beliefs into action whether you realize it or not. One of the most powerful things waiting reveals is the gap between our faith and our feelings. Often, we will proclaim trust with our lips, yet our inner voice is filled with anxiety. We might say, I believe God will provide, while secretly thinking, what if he doesn't? What if it's too late? Waiting exposes that contradiction. It shows us where our faith is authentic and where it is still fragile. The moment we recognize that inner dialogue, we have a choice. We can continue to allow fear and doubt to dominate, or we can intentionally speak truth to ourselves, reinforcing the reality that God is faithful, that his timing is perfect, and that nothing is delayed outside of his purpose. Waiting also teaches patience in a way that speed never can. In a culture obsessed with instant results, we often forget that God's timing is rarely about speed, it is about preparation. Waiting reveals whether we are willing to grow, to mature, and to develop the character necessary to handle the very blessing we desire. If we jump at the first opportunity or grow impatient and force our own timing, we may find ourselves overwhelmed or unready. Waiting exposes whether we truly believe that God knows what we need and when we need it, or whether we think we are the ones in control. Finally, waiting shows us what we value most. When the answers we seek are delayed, we discover whether our faith is based on convenience or conviction, on desire or destiny. If your inner dialogue is filled with complaints, frustrations, and comparisons, waiting is revealing that your belief is conditional. But if your inner voice chooses to affirm, to hope, and to rest in the certainty of God's timing, waiting is revealing a belief that is rooted in trust, not in circumstances. Waiting is not passive. It is not a void to be endured. It is an opportunity for self-examination, for growth, and for a deeper alignment between our hearts and the truth. It reveals whether we truly believe that God is faithful, that He is aware, that He is never late, and that every delay is part of a greater plan that we cannot yet see. It strips away the illusions of control and forces us to confront the reality of our own faith. It reveals what we really believe, not by what we say, but by how we think, how we feel, and how we respond when the answers do not come immediately. Delay is one of the most misunderstood experiences in life. Many people see it as a rejection, a sign that their prayers will never be answered or that their dreams are slipping away. But the truth is that delay is not denial. What feels like postponement is often preparation. What seems like a closed door is sometimes a corridor to a bigger, better, and more perfectly timed blessing. The problem is that in the waiting, our inner dialogue can begin to whisper lies. It can convince us that we have been forgotten, that we are not enough, or that our efforts have been wasted. But every delay in your life is carefully orchestrated by a God who is never late, who is never careless, and who is always working behind the scenes to align your life with purpose. When we face delay, it is natural for our minds to start racing. We imagine all the what ifs and rehearse all the worst case scenarios. But the voice we allow to dominate our inner dialogue will determine whether we emerge stronger or weaker. Delay is designed to teach us patience, endurance, and faith. It tests our ability to trust beyond what we can see and control. Denial, on the other hand, is final. Delay is temporary, it is intentional, and it is full of lessons that can only be learned in the pause. While we wait, our hearts are being shaped. While we wait, our minds are being renewed. While we wait, the pieces of our lives are being aligned in a way that ensures that when the blessing arrives, it will not overwhelm us but empower us. Delay allows us to grow into what we are waiting for. Sometimes we pray for something and we feel ready, but God sees our hearts and knows we are not prepared to carry the weight of the blessing. He knows that if it came too early, it could be more of a burden than a breakthrough. Delay forces us to mature, to develop wisdom, and to cultivate patience. It gives us time to strengthen our character, refine our faith, and deepen our understanding of God's faithfulness. Every day of waiting is a classroom where we are learning lessons that cannot be learned any other way. It is teaching us that timing is not about our convenience, but about our readiness. Delay also builds faith in ways instant results never could. When something happens immediately, it is easy to assume it is luck or coincidence, but when God delays and we continue to trust Him despite the silence, our faith grows deeper. We learn to rest in the invisible, to believe without seeing, and to hope without having all the answers. The inner dialogue of someone who understands that delay is not denial is filled with affirmation, encouragement, and a refusal to succumb to fear. It says, I may not see it yet, but I believe it is coming. I may not understand why it hasn't happened, but I trust the one who knows all things. This kind of faith cannot be manufactured. It is forged in the furnace of delay, and it becomes unshakable when the promise finally arrives. Another critical aspect of understanding delay is realizing that it is strategic. God's timing is perfect. He orchestrates every detail of our lives, arranging circumstances, relationships, and opportunities so that when the time comes, everything falls into place exactly as it should. What appears to be a setback is often a setup. What feels like a postponement is often a positioning for something far greater than we could have imagined. Delay ensures that when the blessing arrives, it comes with maximum impact, protection, and purpose. The delay is not a denial of what we deserve. It is a demonstration of God's precision and wisdom. Delay also allows us to strengthen our relationship with God. When we are waiting, we are often forced to lean harder on Him. We are reminded that we are not in control and that our timing is limited, but His timing is perfect. The inner dialogue during this season becomes a sacred practice, speaking truth to ourselves, declaring promises over our lives, and refusing to let disappointment take root. Delay teaches us to pray more earnestly, to seek His guidance more diligently, and to cultivate a spirit of perseverance that will serve us well for the rest of our lives. Finally, delay reveals our priorities and prepares us for the responsibility of the blessing. It exposes what we truly value, how much we are willing to trust, and how steadfast our faith really is. It challenges us to remain consistent in our devotion, patient in our waiting, and steadfast in our hope. Delay is not denial, it is preparation, refinement, and alignment, all orchestrated to ensure that what we receive is not just good but perfect, not just timely but eternal, and not just ours but fully in harmony with God's divine plan. Too often we look at life through the lens of our own clocks, our own calendars, our own sense of urgency. We think that if something doesn't happen when we expect it, it means it will never happen. But the truth is that heaven does not operate on human schedules. God's timing is not sloppy, and it is not delayed. It is precise. Every detail of your life, every step you take, every challenge you face, and every opportunity that seems to linger just out of reach is part of a divine timeline that is perfectly orchestrated. What may feel like procrastination to the human eye is actually perfect precision in the divine plan, and learning to trust that timing is one of the greatest keys to living a fulfilled and victorious life. Precision means that nothing is left to chance. Heaven is not improvising. Every delay, every pause, every moment of apparent inactivity is intentional. God knows exactly when the right doors need to open, the right people need to show up, and the right circumstances need to align for your life to reach its full potential. Human impatience often leads us to force solutions, to rush into opportunities, or to settle for less than what is best. But God's precision ensures that when the right moment arrives, it arrives in a way that maximizes impact, protection, and purpose. Every delay, every wait, every season of silence is a signal that God is still arranging the pieces in perfect order, and the inner dialogue that accompanies that season must reflect trust, patience, and expectancy. When we learn to recognize that heaven's timing is precision, not procrastination, we also begin to understand the importance of preparation. The waiting periods in our lives are not empty voids, they are classrooms, workshops, and training grounds. God is shaping your character, refining your vision, and equipping you with wisdom that you cannot acquire on your own. The inner dialogue of someone who understands divine timing does not whisper frustration or despair. It affirms readiness, reinforces hope, and strengthens faith. Every delay is an opportunity to ask, am I ready for this blessing? Am I equipped to handle the responsibility that comes with it? Precision also protects us. Sometimes what we want may be good, but it may not be the best for the season we are in. God's timing ensures that blessings do not arrive prematurely in a way that could overwhelm, distract, or derail us. It ensures that the right people, resources, and opportunities converge exactly when they should, preventing mistakes that could cost us long-term success. When we trust that timing, we are free to focus on our growth, our preparation, and our faith, rather than on anxiety and impatience. Heaven's timing also aligns with purpose. Life is not just about what we want, it is about what God wants for us. His precision orchestrates every circumstance so that our journey becomes a testimony of His faithfulness. What seems late to us is often exactly on time in terms of destiny. The inner dialogue during this season must shift from "why is this taking so long" to "I trust that everything is lining up perfectly and my season is coming at the right moment." This mindset is what turns waiting into worship, delay into discovery, and silence into preparation. Finally, recognizing divine precision helps us guard our hearts against doubt and disappointment. When we understand that God's timing is never random, never rushed, and never late, we begin to speak to ourselves with confidence. We remind ourselves that what is meant for us cannot be taken away, and what is coming cannot be hurried. The inner dialogue becomes a shield against fear, a declaration of hope, and a declaration of trust in the one who is always working behind the scenes, ensuring that everything falls into place at exactly the right moment. Many of us spend so much time praying for miracles, breakthroughs, and blessings that we forget the first miracle must happen within us, the transformation of our mind. Your mind is the soil in which every miracle must take root. If your thinking is not aligned with God's truth, no matter how much favor, opportunity, or blessing comes your way, it will not produce the results it was intended to produce. God's timing is perfect, but it is also purposeful. He does not release the miracle until He sees that your mind, your perception, and your spirit are ready to handle it. In other words, the mind must arrive before the miracle. Your mindset determines how you respond to the doors that open, the resources that arrive, and the opportunities that present themselves. If your mind is still filled with doubt, fear, or limitation, a miracle can pass by unnoticed or even be sabotaged by your own thoughts. That is why the inner dialogue during the waiting season is so crucial. Every day we talk to ourselves about what is coming, and that dialogue either strengthens our faith or feeds our anxiety. When you affirm your value, your purpose, and your readiness, you are aligning your inner world with God's outer plan. You are telling your spirit that you are prepared to receive, prepared to steward, and prepared to rise. Too often, people expect a miracle to transform their circumstances without first allowing God to transform their thinking. They want the blessing, but they are not willing to change their perspective. They want success, but they have not cultivated the patience, discipline, and focus necessary to handle it. The mind that is unprepared will see miracles as ordinary, will mismanage opportunities, and will even allow fear to steal what is rightfully theirs. But a mind that has been renewed, disciplined, and strengthened will recognize the miracle when it comes, seize it, and multiply it. Your mind must also arrive before your miracle, because faith and expectation are intertwined. The miracle often comes silently first in your spirit before it manifests in your circumstances. You may not see it immediately, but if your mind is ready, you will recognize it when it does appear. The inner dialogue must be consistent, intentional, and rooted in belief. It must say, "I am ready for what God has prepared for me. I can handle this blessing. I am positioned for purpose." That dialogue creates a mindset that is fertile for miracles, A mind that does not panic when the wait is long, and a mind that does not doubt when the path seems unclear. Preparation of the mind also includes shedding old habits, negative thought patterns, and limiting beliefs. God cannot entrust a miracle to a mind that is still captive to fear, resentment, or doubt. Just as a farmer prepares the soil before planting a seed, God is preparing your mind to receive and sustain the miracle. That preparation often comes through trials, delays, and seasons of challenge that feel uncomfortable or even discouraging. These moments are not punishments, they are opportunities to grow, to think differently, and to align your heart and mind with the promise that is coming. Furthermore, the miracle will demand more from you than just receiving. It will demand stewardship, wisdom, and discernment. If your mind has not arrived, you will be unprepared to navigate the responsibilities that accompany the blessing. The inner dialogue must therefore anticipate this responsibility. It must declare, I am not only ready to receive, but I am ready to manage, multiply, and honor this miracle according to God's plan. That kind of preparation ensures that the miracle does not become a fleeting moment, but a lasting transformation. Finally, the arrival of your mind before the miracle demonstrates your faithfulness in the waiting. While others may complain, doubt, or settle for less, your mind grows stronger, wiser, and more aligned with God's truth. You begin to think in ways that reflect the possibilities of heaven rather than the limitations of your circumstances. Your inner dialogue becomes your ally, reinforcing your hope, declaring your readiness, and preparing you to act when the timing is perfect. The mind must arrive first because a miracle without mental and spiritual readiness can be wasted, misused, or misunderstood. Fear is one of the most persistent enemies we face in life. It whispers doubts, magnifies problems, and convinces us that we are powerless in the face of our challenges. Fear does not always arrive as a loud, dramatic announcement. Most of the time, it creeps in quietly, infiltrating our thoughts, twisting our perceptions, and planting seeds of hesitation in our hearts. That is why faith must be spoken with intention, spoken with authority, and spoken loudly enough to drown out fear. Silence in the face of fear is surrender. Talking to yourself in alignment with God's promises is how you reclaim control over your mind, your spirit, and ultimately your destiny. Faith spoken is a weapon. It is not passive and it is not symbolic. It is active and powerful. When fear begins to whisper, you can't do this, you're not ready, you'll fail, your spoken faith must respond immediately with truth. God is with me. God has prepared me. I am ready for this season. Your inner dialogue determines the outcome of every moment of fear. If your voice is weak, fear will grow stronger, convincing you to quit, to settle, or to compromise. But if your faith is bold, consistent, and loud, fear has no foothold. Fear cannot coexist with a voice that is rooted in the promises of God. Speaking faith is not about ignoring reality. It is about affirming truth in spite of circumstances. Life will throw challenges, setbacks, and obstacles, and fear will exploit every opening. It will point to every delay, every unanswered question, and every moment of silence as evidence that the blessing will never come. But the voice of faith speaks louder. It refuses to negotiate with fear. It refuses to shrink in the face of difficulty. It reminds the heart and mind that God's power is not limited by circumstance, that His timing is perfect, and that His promises are unchanging. The inner dialogue of faith must declare victory before the battle is won, certainty before the breakthrough is visible, and hope before the door opens. Speaking faith is also a process of discipline. Fear often dominates because we allow it to speak unchecked in our thoughts. We replay doubts, insecurities, what ifs over and over in our minds. But faith must be cultivated like a muscle. It grows stronger the more we speak it, the more we declare it, and the more we rehearse the truth of God's word over our lives. That discipline ensures that when fear attacks, your voice rises in immediate response, cutting through the noise and establishing authority over your spirit. The inner dialogue becomes a continuous declaration. I will not be shaken. I will not be moved. God is on my side, and his plan for me cannot be stopped. Another reason faith must be spoken loudly is because miracles often require action. God does not always act until he sees that our hearts, minds, and spirits are fully aligned with his truth. Speaking faith aligns our inner world with heaven's power. It prepares us to act boldly when the opportunity arises. When fear dominates, hesitation replaces action, doubt clouds vision, and we miss the moment we've been waiting for. But a voice of faith cuts through fear, creating courage, clarity, and confidence to step forward in obedience, knowing that God has already gone ahead and that his timing is perfect. Faith spoken also strengthens those around us. Fear can be contagious, spreading doubt and anxiety to family, friends, or colleagues. But when we speak faith loudly, we create an atmosphere of hope and expectation. Our words become anchors for others, reminders that God is faithful, that delays are not denials, and that miracles are on the way. The inner dialogue, when made public through declaration, inspires others to believe, encourages them to wait patiently, and reinforces the reality that God is always on time. Finally, speak in faith loud enough to drown out fear demonstrates authority over your own life. It reminds you that you are not powerless, that you have access to divine promises, and that you are equipped to handle every challenge that comes your way. The inner dialogue becomes a fortress, a place where doubt is denied entrance, where hope is amplified, and where the certainty of God's plan is proclaimed with unwavering confidence. By speaking faith, you are not just waiting for the miracle. You are preparing yourself to recognize it, receive it, and multiply it. Waiting is never easy. There are moments when it feels endless, when the silence is deafening, when the delay presses down on your spirit, and when you begin to question whether the blessing will ever arrive. In those moments, it is natural to wonder if God has forgotten, if your prayers have gone unheard, or if your dreams are slipping away. But the truth is that every delay has a purpose, and when the promise finally arrives, you will understand why you had to wait. Every tear, every trial, every season of silence has been a step in the preparation for the moment when God moves with precision and perfection. The waiting period often teaches lessons the blessing itself could never teach. It builds patience, endurance, and resilience. It strengthens faith and deepens character. When we finally receive the breakthrough, it is not just a moment of relief. It is a culmination of growth, refinement, and alignment with God's plan. The inner dialogue during this time is critical because it either sustains us or allows despair to take root. When you choose to speak truth to yourself, to affirm your trust in God, and to remind your spirit that his timing is perfect, you position yourself to recognize and fully embrace the blessing when it comes. Often, the delay is a matter of preparation. God is not just delivering a blessing. He is preparing you to receive it. Many people receive blessings too early and are unprepared to handle them, which can lead to disappointment, misuse, or even loss. Waiting ensures that your heart, mind, and spirit are ready to steward what God is about to release. The timing is intentional, the delay is purposeful, and the preparation is sacred. Every challenge you endure, every setback you face, and every moment of waiting is a refining process. It is molding you into the person capable of carrying the weight of your destiny with wisdom, grace, and faithfulness. Patience in waiting also creates gratitude in receiving. When something comes to you effortlessly, it can be easy to take it for granted. But when you wait, when you persevere, and when you maintain faith in the silence, the arrival of your blessing brings a deep sense of appreciation and wonder. You understand that it was not just the gift that mattered, but the journey itself. The inner dialogue that sustains you during the wait, affirming trust, hope, and faith, ensures that when the moment comes, your spirit is fully ready to celebrate, honor, and maximize what has been given. Another reason waiting makes sense is that it aligns circumstances, relationships, and opportunities in a way that guarantees the greatest impact. Sometimes we see the blessing as the end goal, but the truth is that the timing ensures that everything surrounding it is positioned perfectly. People will be in place. Doors will be open, resources will be ready, and your spirit will be fortified to handle it. The delays we endure are not random. They are orchestrated. They are part of a divine strategy that ensures the moment of arrival is not just a blessing, but a transformation, a testimony, and a turning point in our lives. The understanding of why you had to wait also comes from reflection. Once the blessing arrives, you will look back on the seasons of silence and realize that every challenge was necessary. You will see that every tear had a purpose, every closed door protected you, and every delay was a step toward alignment with God's ultimate plan. The inner dialogue that you maintain during the waiting, affirming faith, declaring hope, and speaking truth becomes a testimony in itself. It shows that even in the silence, you were not idle. You were being prepared, strengthened, and positioned for a breakthrough that was worth waiting for. Finally, the clarity that comes when the blessing arrives brings peace. Suddenly, the confusion, the frustration, and the questioning of the waiting period makes sense. You recognize that God's timing was not random, that every delay was intentional, and that the wait was a necessary part of the process. It is in that moment that your heart understands that waiting was not a punishment, but a preparation. It was not denial, but alignment. It was not procrastination, but precision. Every moment of waiting has contributed to the fullness, the depths, and the impact of what is finally unfolding